What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 6 of 417 Sound. Super excited today to be joined by my good friend Tyler Garoutte. Tyler, what is up, my man?
Not much, brother. How you been doing?
I'm pretty good, man. I'm pretty good. So, what's going on in your world right now? We were just talking before we came on camera. You had a couple gigs last week at the old Branson West staples of Bamboozled and Castaways. So, how did those go?
Oh yeah, they went awesome. And then Sunday, yesterday, we had a benefit over at the Legion for somebody in the community that had some stuff happen health wise to them, and pretty incredible time. I threw a band together, and they had an auction, and the community raised over $15,000 for this guy, and it was it was pretty awesome to be part of all that. That's probably the highlight of the week for me was A, getting to be a part of that, and B, getting to make some music with some other folks for a little while.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, that was it's Tommy, right? Tommy Mayer?
Right. Yeah, for Tommy.
Yeah. So Tommy's a local guy. Has had some running some to some health issues. So matter of fact, if they've still got that GoFundMe up, I will drop that in the link of this podcast. Tommy's a great dude and
That
uh,
would be awesome.
roots through and through. So I would love to drop that link in the bio here of the podcast. So if you're listening and you're familiar with Tommy Mayer, he's a good guy. So definitely needs all the help he can get. So that's awesome. So
Yeah.
at this benefit, you just kind of threw together a band. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, basically just called up a couple buddies that I, have known for my whole life pretty much. One of them is about 65, and he's about as solid a musician as they come. And he plays about 1.5 days a year when I call him. And another one was just a buddy that plays drums with me, hanging out around the house once in a while. He actually works for the school district there at Reed. But anyway, so we kind of threw something together, and then got a couple other guys that wanted to come jam with us. So a guy we went to school with, David Carlson, came out and did some jamming with us, which was awesome. And another local guy named Jody Up came and played a few classic country songs for everybody, and it was a good time. We just threw it together and got the Legion up and going, rocking out there, pretty
Yeah,
good.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, David. Yeah, I asked David to if he would be interested in being a part of my band, and he's like, man, I'm too busy. I appreciate the invite, but man, he's a heck of a musician, and he's
Yeah, David can
just
can do it all, man. It doesn't matter the instrument; he's a solid player on every one of them.
and an even better guy. And that's what
Yeah, good.
makes it the
That's
best. That's the
fact.
best part of it. So Tyler and I, so if you watched any previous episodes, episode number 1 was with Casey Callison, and we referenced Tyler a lot in that episode. Tyler was a senior at Reed Spring when I was a freshman, and I was telling Casey, like when I was in school, because I've been singing my whole life, but I didn't pick up a guitar until I was 16. But like I remember like walking through the lunchroom and you were sitting on that red bench like just playing your heart out, and I was just there was something so cool about it. And so you're kind of who like piqued my interest into playing guitar for the first time. I'm sure you're honored.
Well, no, actually, man, that means a lot to me. You and Casey have both made some comments like that, and it's cool to make some sort of impact. Especially with the music deal. I mean, at the end of the day, that's something we're all going to be able to do until we're freaking old as dirt, and there's
Right.
something about it that fills a lot of different personal cups for me. Just the music deal, it's getting to share that with friends, and now me and Casey are in a band together, and that's even cooler to get to hang out and jam and do some redneck honky tonk stuff, that's about as close to our roots as it comes, ain't it?
Right. That's right. Yeah. I played the Queen City Shout this past weekend, which this won't be airing for a couple of weeks. So a couple of weeks ago, in future terms. But I got to pop over and see Casey's band, the Shin Kickers. They were playing at Mother's, and I ran into Ryan Lear. Hadn't seen him in
Yeah.
eternity. So saw him as like a little Reed Spring reunion. So it was cool. So were you a
Once in a
part of?
while,
No, go ahead.
so once in a while we get Ryan Lear out to come play, and that's a real honor. That's That's my best friend right there. And on top of everything, man, he's an incredible musician, incredible guy, and a lot of fun to be around. So maybe we can try
Yeah,
to
and
coerce him to get out and play a little bit more.
yeah, for sure. So yeah, so Ryan is a great. I mean, because Ryan doesn't play like regularly, right? He just kind of does it for fun when he has time.
Yeah, Ryan does it for fun, or if I have a big show that I need, somebody I know's got the bass guitar or the regular guitar down. As funny as this sounds, Ryan is a big reason I got into guitar back when we were kids. He was already after it and playing and pretty good at it, and so we were kind of doing that deal together for a long time, and then he just says Ryan's all about everything, right? He likes beer and he likes gardening and pickling and everything that Laura Ingalls Wilder would be into. He's all about it. And so anyway,
Yeah.
so Ryan's a great musician. He just plays it once in a while and does it at home for himself, and that's cool though. If that's what it takes for him to keep enjoying it, then that's what's most important.
Right. And it's like, I mean, the point, the whole thing that got me started on this podcast was like, I wanted to highlight people that either A, maybe people know a lot about and want to get to know more on a personal level, or B, people, musicians that people have never heard of, and kind of trying to help spread the word. But in doing this and lining up these interviews and things, like I've realized that there's a lot of musicians locally that are extremely talented that like nobody knows who they are because they don't play. Like they just do it in the
Yeah, it's
confines of their
wild.
house or whatever. They just do it to unwind. And somebody like Ryan's a perfect example. Like he could he could play circles around a lot of people in this town, but he's just like, nah, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
I just do it for when I need to release, and I'm fine with that. So I think that's cool. I think it's really admirable. Um,
Hey,
so yeah,
if it keeps them chasing, getting better, then that's what's
that's right.
that's what
That's
matters.
right. So were you a part? You were a part of the illustrious, the Happy Hopper. What was that group called? The Picker. The what was that?
Oh, that was called. I was a freshman and found out we could make up a club as long as we had a sponsor, and none of the other ones sounded any fun. And so I hit up Mr. Hopper. I knew he played a little bit, and he's like, "Really? You'd let me be part of that?" And so anyway, then all of a sudden there was the Jack Around and Play Guitar at School group, and I think that he came up with the name. I couldn't have come up with something that cheesy. I'm sure of it.
What
But
was the name?
anyway, I think it was the String Picker
What?
Pals or something. I'm not.
Okay,
It has to
I
be
knew
close.
picking
String
was in
Picker
there.
Pals.
Pickers are in
But
there. Something.
yeah,
Man,
it was something pretty
Happy
Happy
Hopper.
Hopper esque.
Happy. I still see Happy post. Like he put that dude hustles marketing wise more than anybody I know. Like he's posting videos of himself every day. I love it, and he's like
Yeah,
he's got to be getting
he's after it.
like 80.
Well, yeah, he's definitely up there. I think he married me and my wife 6 7 years back, and I thought he was pretty close to 80 then if he wasn't already. But another dude around here that is a world class musician and has been everywhere with his guitar in his hand, and that thing's took him all over the place, and he shared it with a million people. I mean, how many people has he got into music at that school just
Oh,
sitting around with that
100%.
thing on his big old belly, just doing his
Yeah.
deal? That's awesome. That's awesome.
Dude, he used to when I was coming up like real little when he was doing Adventure Club and his wife uh Cecilia, who's now left us, God rest her soul, sweetest lady in the world. But Happy would sit there with his guitar and he'd just play, and I remember just thinking it was the coolest thing ever. I mean, he even if he wasn't like consciously trying to impact kids and get them interested in music, like the number of people that he probably has um, is just like that's the makings of a perfect teacher. I mean, he's just he didn't have to sit down and tell you how it was important and hey, you'll thank me later if you pick up this guitar. He was just like, look at how much joy it brings me, and I want to share that with you, and if you choose to pick it up, then that's great.
Yeah, he certainly exuded happiness on a regular basis, didn't he?
Aptly named Happy Hopper. So shout out
Yeah,
Happy. I'll
absolutely.
have to send him a message and have him listen to this. So yeah,
Yeah.
Tyler, you were did you go to Reed Spring your entire life? Like, were you a 12-year senior?
Oh yeah, yeah. I born and raised, and that
Born and
house I
raised.
bought's about a mile and a half from the one I grew up in, so I'm pretty stuck around here,
Okay.
boy.
That's right. So how did you tell me a little bit about how you got into music? I mean, did you have family members that were musically inclined, or was it just your interaction with Ryan? Talk about that a little bit.
So basically, I was into ramping bicycles and doing stupid stuff on skateboards, and I got tired of getting hurt all the time. Right? No, this is the God's honest truth, right? And so the short of this whole deal was is I went to the emergency room like 3 or 4 times in probably like a 5 week span. And my mom's like, "All right, buddy, you can keep riding your skateboard after you get all better, but you got to wear all this stuff." I mean, I look like the knights at a round table by the time I could get on my skateboard with all these pads and the whole deal. I'm like, this ain't gonna work for me, right? And anyway, we were walking around Eureka Springs, and there's some kid that was probably my age, and I was in 6th grade, and he was playing Blackbird by the Beatles on an acoustic guitar,
Uh-huh.
and it was all chopped up, in hindsight. But he was actually, in my opinion, at the time, I was like, "Oh my god, that's awesome! If he could do that, I could do that." So
Hmm.
basically, I started picking around on a guitar, a G chord for like a year, dude. One chord for a year, over and over, and then yeah, I know it's terrible. And so anyway, on anybody's guitar because I didn't have one. And so that's literally all I could do is like make a G chord. I couldn't strum it. I couldn't move it anywhere else. And then anyway, so I got sick of the skateboard deal, and I saved up for a summer of like watching my sister's kids or something and bought a guitar and just was determined to figure it out. And so I got on the computer and looked up tabs and learned all these little pieces to songs that I liked. And then 6 or 8 months later, I'm like, maybe I should go back and look up what I actually learned so I know the why behind it. And then a bunch of puzzle pieces came together at once, and I just started playing a bunch. And then basically, the the playing out solo deal was something that came so much later. I just played electric guitar, right, and then I really liked playing drums, and so I played a lot of drums and that deal with a lot of different people and the Ernie Biggs thing and all that. And so over the years, all that's kind of evolved. I sing a song here or there, but singing wasn't necessarily my forte. And I guess people are right. Just like anything, if you have a muscle, you got to work it out and get it to where it needs to be. And then no one can help taste. You either got good taste with your sound or you don't got good taste with your sound, and that is what
Yeah.
that's going to be. And so anyway, so I just worked at it, and then really enjoyed sitting on a stool with my acoustic guitar and singing. And I really loved how interactive Ernie Biggs was when I was playing drums out there. And it gets the crowd involved. You do request and this, and that. And I'm certainly maybe a more toned down version of that for sure. But I'm there to keep. I'm there to keep people there. I'm not there for you to come eat dinner and then get out of there. I'm going to try to keep you there the entire time, smiling and having fun. And that's what I like to think builds a following and builds some folks to come out and see you. And so far, I've been able to make a great living at home for the last 3 years, full time, playing music. And the biggest burden of a drive that I have is Big Cedar, which is 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
pretty fortunate to get to do all this stuff so close to home and have a town that supports it. And I'm just super grateful for that.
So when you look back at videos or whatever of you, kind of when you were starting out, I mean, is it? I had somebody come up to me the other day and they were like, I've seen you play 1,000 shows, and every time I see you, I just think you get better and better. Um, do you get that sense when you look back on everything that you've done? Like, do you kind of cringe at your old stuff and say, "Man, I'm so much better now than I was 5 years ago"?
Well, yeah. Yeah, big time. Um, However, I got into singing a little bit late, and as weird as this sounds, I worked really hard to be able to sing high because I don't necessarily have a high voice. You probably noticed. And
Hmm.
anyway, and then in the last couple of years, it's been a huge struggle to keep that range. And anyway, fortunately, uh, taking a little time off in February for the month and going someplace warm and not fighting all the winter problems around here with sickness and cold and all that. I came back and been feeling great, and so maybe we're over that hurdle. Maybe I just needed a rest, but yeah, that's
Yeah.
just things that things I would never do today that I was doing then, or things that I would never put out, to an audience today,
Right.
because I'm like, oh, that ain't gonna be ready for that, or I don't know that good enough for that, or whatever. Yeah, big time.
Hmm.
So, but as far as before that, there was virtually no real videos of me singing much. It was all me, playing electric guitar or something like that, or maybe some drumming stuff. Um,
Right.
and I'm not, I don't spend my day attached to a cell phone or recording stuff either. So there's probably not a ton of stuff out there anyway. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everything's cringeworthy when you look back on it. It's something
Yeah.
that you're working at. If
Dude,
you're
I had
working
somebody
at
tell
it
me
and
the
you've
other
been at
day.
it 5 years, like, surely you've come far enough to not be proud of the 5 years ago.
Yeah. I had
But I
somebody
guess
tell
it's
me
what it
the other
takes to
day.
get
They were
here.
like, yeah. They were like, hey, we looked you up on YouTube and we found this picture or this video of you singing in your dorm room, it looked like, and it was from when I was at Mizzou, and it was like, gosh, almost 10 years old. And so I went out and watched it, and I was like, man, I really got to take this off YouTube. Like, I can't be
Yeah.
associated with that person.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, do you spend a lot of time like when you're, I mean, I know you've got a really steady schedule with gigs, and obviously to be able to do it as your full-time job, I mean, obviously that takes a lot of hard work, and people don't understand like that it can be very stressful booking and getting all your shows lined up, not double booking yourself, trying to make sure that I don't play 3 nights in a row in the same 5 mile radius, to I mean, there's a lot that goes into booking, but like when you're sitting at home and you're just chilling, I mean, are you spending a lot of time practicing and learning new songs or
Um, Honestly, no. The little bit of music I might play at home is, I'll call up some buddies and we'll get together and jam, type of deal where it's really the most informal. It's probably more detrimental to me as a musician to do than it is beneficial, but
right?
from a fun standpoint and getting to play music in a no pressure environment, well, that's super beneficial. And just getting to play my electric guitar, I never get to play that anymore, other than with the honky tonk band a handful of days a year. And so it's fun for me to just get to go play for a minute. I get
Hmm.
tired of being in charge all the time. But
Yeah.
otherwise, no. When I honestly, I probably learn 3 or 4 or 5 songs a year that I sit down and actually like look up and learn or something like that. Most of
Hmm.
them, they finally just got requested enough times and I've thought about it, or I made a point to listen with intent when it came on in the car enough times that one time I can, not to sound like anything, but I'm fairly confident I can play rhythm guitar to anything, and hear it
Right.
by ear and get close enough and I know where my range is enough to know what key to probably start in, and so on and so forth. So the guitar deal isn't that big of a deal, but the remembering all the words, is part of it, and the melody lines and things like that. And so the other 10, 15, 20 songs that might get added to my repertoire are all things that I just tried on the fly, and I'm like, all right, that went cool. We'll do that again, or
Yeah.
something that just gets requested. I'm blue in the face, with the exception of Freebird, folks. So anybody watching this that likes to yell that out every time I play, you all know who you are. This ain't gonna happen.
Are you an iPad guy? Do you have your iPad or your phone up to pull up chords, or are you all memory?
All memory. So for now, I
I
guess.
don't know how you do it.
So far,
I don't know how you do it. That's so it's
I
so crazy to me.
I just do it. All my musician
Well,
friends that are
hats
older
off to
than
you,
me
man.
say that it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
No, you know what though? There's no shame.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with using a deal to remember. I mean, gee whiz, we cover 2 or 3, 4 hours of music sometimes. I get it. It's hard to remember all that stuff sometimes.
Yeah. And I like, I think that for me, uh I always try to go into every show, uh, like, I will sit like, the other night, I had my first solo show at Southbound, and on Wednesday night, I was sitting on my phone looking through the iTunes Top 100 country charts, like, trying to pick out, like, "Okay, let's pick out 5 or 6 or 7 songs that I think people might like." And I'm with you. Like as long as I've heard the song and I'm decently familiar with the song, I can pull up the chords and I can play it, and
Yeah.
that's no big deal. But I blink and all of a sudden I've got like 700 songs in my ultimate guitar library, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way there's no way I could possibly. And the thing is, like, you could put me in a room with a radio and turn on the radio, and I would probably know pretty much every song word for word. But it's the chords that trip me up, and the keys, and I'm like, I really use my iPad mainly for the chord charts and less of the words. But my hat's off to you, man. That's a hell of a task to go up there with no technology. It's impressive.
You just try it. Burn your ships, leave the iPad at home, see what
Yeah.
happens. No, hey, again, there's nothing wrong with that deal at all. And a lot of guys use it for a lot of different things. Heck, our PAs function off of it. My lighting operation
Right.
functions off of all this. Everything is Bluetooth now. I mean, there's a million reasons to have it outside of that. There's no, but just because I can remember some song lyrics doesn't matter. Those people out there don't
Yeah.
care at all.
Yeah. Um, so you brought up Freebird, and I asked Casey uh this question, but since I know that you play a lot of the same places, and your show is similar to mine, I'll ask you what's the one request other than Freebird that just makes you roll your eyes and makes your blood boil?
Um, so the Freebird deal at this point has mostly just become a banter with a
Yeah.
bartender at Castaway started it, and now 20 people say it because they're like, "Oh, I'm just joking. It's just because John says it." But as far as I don't like playing Tennessee whiskey. I don't mind the song, but it's so wore out and it's so slow,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to hear the person that requested wants to hear it when the party is at peak mood. And now you want me to bring it down slow as can be. I just can't do it. And so anyway, that's probably the one that I'll gladly throw Wagon Wheel out there before I'm into some Tennessee. I got 30 other Chris Stapleton songs. Please pick something else. And so anyway, not that I won't do it. Hey, at the end of the day, I'm there to cover ground for folks, and I'm there to make a living. But it, I'll play it, but it ain't my favorite.
That's exactly what Casey said. Um, and I get it. Because that's what you just said is a great point. I've got 30 other Chris Stapleton songs. Please, like, out of his whole catalog, let's pick something else. That song's not even his. Now he does it better than George Jones,
Yeah.
but it's not even his song. So, like, let's expand our thing. And it's funny that you brought up bringing the mood down. My dad, every time he comes to a show, the one song he usually requests is "He Stopped Loving Her Today" by George Jones. He loves that song, and it's my dad. I have a hard time not playing it for him, and he usually throws like a $50
Yeah,
bill
you
in
got
my
to.
bucket, so I'm like, but I'm like, "Dad, I'm trying to get these people riled up, and then now I'm playing a
Yeah.
funeral song."
Yeah, it always comes from somebody that means something to you when you don't want to play it the
Yeah.
most.
Yeah. But like you
No,
said,
other
it's
than
all I
that,
mean,
it's
our
fun.
job our yeah, our job is to be there to entertain, and so if people wanna hear a song that I hate, like a Wagon Wheel is it for me. I Every time I hit Wagon Wheel, I'm like, "Man, I'd rather bust my guitar over my head." And we can thank Darius Rucker
I
for
just
that,
had to
because
figure out how to
I
make
think
it fun.
yeah, well, yeah, I'm gonna have you
Yeah.
teach me because I have yet to figure out how.
I started singing Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as the fourth verse in a bluegrass version. People love it. I'm like, y'all didn't hear
That's
about the
great.
Will Smith verse? He wrote this way back in the day. They're like, what are you talking about? No way. No way. Yeah, here, have a
Oh, that's
listen.
funny. That's awesome. I love that. Yeah, it's you've always got, and I think a lot of people are cognizant of, and usually what I'll usually do at the beginning of my show is I'll say, I take requests. If there's something you want to hear, let me know, and then I'll encourage them to just tell me an artist, and so that kind of opens the door for me to choose. But also, like, if they say Chris Stapleton, I can ask them, "What's your favorite Chris Stapleton song?" And if somebody really is a fan of Chris Stapleton, they're not going to say Tennessee Whiskey. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
like, I kind of try to leave a little wiggle room to where I'm not, because that way people aren't as disappointed either if they come up and say that they want some B track side of Fleetwood Mac that I have no idea. If they just say Fleetwood Mac, I'm like, okay, we've got some
Right.
options, and it's all.
For sure.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people don't realize there's a lot, like, it's not just us going up there and playing songs. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. In your case, you're trying to remember everything off the top of your head, which is still just mind blowing, and take requests on top
Oh,
of
if you
that.
remember the first two
So, I
words,
mean,
you'll
there's a
be all
lot.
right.
So
That's all it
you are
takes.
you're a guitar player and a drummer by trade. I see you've got a nice collection of guitars behind you. What do you have a
Yeah, there's a
favorite
few back
guitar?
there.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, my gig and rig is probably I play a Taylor 818 cutaway, and it's a beautiful jumbo. Um, it's a builder's edition. One of the last few that Andy Powers had much to actually do with. And anyway, I thought about getting rid of it about 10 times, and I've had a few other awesome Taylors in the meantime. I'm kind of hung up on the Taylor deal, is what it is. And anyway, so I just keep putting those back in the case and grabbing that one out. And so, yeah, that one's been with me for probably 6 years now. I've put it through the most of any of them. Then electric guitars, I don't know. I change my mind all the time. I've got one built for the honky tonk band that I started playing in that's got a B bender in it, and kind of cool, fun deal to play with and all that. But yeah, I don't know about a favorite electric. There's like 30 of them, so that's just all that
Do you still have your
that's all that my house walls can support.
Yeah. Do you still have your first guitar?
I do still have my first guitar. It looks a little rough and it's covered in dust. Oh, and there's no strings on it. There's no bridge piece in it. There's
There you go.
nothing. It's just an old hunk of junk from Sam's Club. But it had Grover tuners.
Hey, that's Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome,
no,
man. It's
I like it.
you
I,
just
I
you
like
grow so
keeping that one
attached to
around.
them.
It's Yeah, well,
Right.
obviously this thing is not playing anymore. It's never going to play again. But for whatever reason, I mean, what am I going to do? Sell it for what? For $4?
Yeah, right,
I mean, I'm not going to get nothing
right,
for that. And then other
right,
than that, I've the only other one I've had that long is this zebra one back here. That's My mom got it for me when I graduated high school, basically, along with the Les Paul custom shop. And basically, the custom shop came and went because I just can't seem to get that attached to an electric guitar. Uh,
right.
However, I kept that around, A, because of the sentimental value, and B, because it kind of looks cool. I don't really play it that much, but it sure does look cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of guitars you're not gonna get anything for, but they're way more valuable sitting or hanging on your wall than
Yeah.
they would be in the hands of somebody else.
Yeah,
Um,
the white
so
Stratocaster that's behind me over here, is the first electric guitar I ever played on, and it was Ryan Lear since he was a kid. And it's not a super expensive electric guitar. It's made in Korea and so on. But when I got it from Ryan, it needed some love, and it doesn't matter that I put more money into the guitar than what it's worth, but it's the one that me and Ryan sat around and played when we were kids, and it's still cool,
right.
and it's there's just guitars. There's something that's a little bit more to a guitar than just being a guitar.
Yeah. And as soon as you get rid of that guitar, it becomes just a guitar.
Absolutely. It takes a long time
So,
before someone gets reattached to it.
right, exactly. So tell me a little bit about kind of, I mean, we've kind of already talked about your mentors, but like professionally, kind of who do you look up to? Who do you kind of model your play style, your singing style after?
Um, that's a tough question. Simply because I do a lot of different stuff. I mean, we all do, I guess. Um, I respect Chris Stapleton from a vocal aspect probably more than any other musician, simply because old boy can wind it back and be the most generic on key who he needs to be and know his place, or he can come out and put any soul sister straight to shame with any vocal run, and he can put as much dirt on it or pull it right back out. His freaking voice box is like my guitar pedal board over here. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, for me, being able to change my voice because I didn't like the tone of my voice for so long. I could sing on for years. I could sing, like I did choir in school and all that. I could sing on key, but I didn't like the tone of my voice. It was just I talk kind of funny. It is what it is. But when I started trying different things, and originally I started playing like 90s stuff, right? Because what we grow up with, right? We were sitting our friggin' bedroom
Right.
floors playing Legos and Hot Wheels, listening to Rick D's Top 40, and it was Rob Thomas and Three Doors Down and
Yeah.
Marcy's Playground and Everclear, all these guys, all the Crows,
Yeah.
every Crow that there was in the
Every
90s,
crow.
right? And so all the Crows, and so you know, I would sing 1 second. I'd be trying to sing a train song and kind of emulate that dude's voice, which is impossible unless you're somewhere between a man and a woman. And then I'd turn around and try to do, how you see that's crazy. But anyway, so then you have Rob Thomas, who has a super unique grit to his voice and how he pronounces words. And so I try to do that. And then, so on and so forth. You just bounce back and forth. And then when you get into the country, or for me anyway, when I started getting into the country deal, which was forced, right? I didn't like country. My mom friggin' fire hosed country down our throats the whole time we were growing up, and so we were so done with that, dude. And so then people request a country song. They're like, "You live around here and you don't know any country." Well, dude, now I bet I play 98 country songs to two of any other genre. And you know
Right.
why? Because a Three Doors Down song ain't getting the bar going like "Good as I Once Was" by Toby Keith. You know what?
Right.
It just isn't going to happen. You're not going to play 3 a.m. by Rob Thomas and it get the crowd going like if you were to go out there and play Chattahoochee or Watermelon Crawl on a boat dock in the middle of the summer to 200 people drinking beers. And that's why they request it. It's so much. I don't want to say it's so much easier to do because it's not necessarily easier music, but it is easier to cover the ground with an acoustic guitar and sing to country music than any other genre, in my opinion.
Right.
At least, at
Yeah.
least with my
No,
playing
I
style.
I would agree. And that's what like so I've been I'm the opposite of you. I was raised, I mean, I was raised on country, but I fell in love with it quickly, but as I got older, um like Matchbox 20 is one of my favorite bands of all time. Like they're top 5 for me.
Yeah.
Creed, top 5 for me. I love Creed. Uh but like what again, Rob Thomas, different little tweak to his voice. Scott Stapp. Nobody else sounds like Scott Stapp from Creed.
Nobody.
Like Creed sounds like Creed. You
Yeah.
hear it and you instantly know it's Creed. Um but like the thing that I enjoy about playing in Springfield is because I feel like Springfield kind of removes that country expectation, which is a nice relief for us. Because I go anywhere I go down here, pretty much it's going to be a country night. But like the other night when I
Sure.
was at Vino Cellars in Springfield, um, I'll play a country song and I'll play some Matchbox 20, and I'll see which one gets heads bobbing. And 90% of the time,
Yeah,
it's the Matchbox 20. And so then you kind of find your niche for that crowd. And most of the time in
sure.
Springfield, that's what it is. It's the Eagles, it's the Fleetwood Macs, and the 90s alternative type stuff. But it's
Yeah.
nice to have that flexibility to be able to do more or less whatever you want. Um, but you kind of do get pigeonholed if you book a gig at venue A. You're kind of like, well, I know what I'm gonna play here tonight. Doesn't matter who's in the crowd. We know what the expectation is. It's
Sure.
just it is what it is. Um, do you feel like you emulate, like, still to this day, emulate like a different artists with the song that you're singing? Like, because I struggle with that because I consciously try not to. But anytime I sing like Eric Church, it's like that rose around, like kind of like back, like
Yeah.
nasally, kind of. Do you feel like you do
Only,
that,
only
or do you
is
try to do that?
only on stuff that matters, and so for instance, let's say I'm playing Georgia Satellites. Well,
Hmm.
the entire vocal the well it's just the truth, right? The guitar is not that impressive in it, the drum, it's just not that impressive, but the deal he does with his vocals when he says huggy and kissy, that's what people want to hear in that song,
Hmm.
outside of the fact that it's great to dance to. So yeah, I'm going to emulate that because that's the difference maker, right? And if
Right.
I'm playing, Time Marches On, well, I'm going to do that changes deal in the bridge or whatever it's called as close as I can to that because people are waiting for it. There's just no way around it. And,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, when I need to, Garth Brooks stuff, there's a certain technique that he does when he changes between certain syllables when he's singing that creates a
Hmm.
Garth Brooks sound, and you can do that without sounding fake. You can do that and go, oh, that's a Garth Brooksy deal. Same with Travis Tritt, same with Bon Jovi, same with Rob Thomas, same with Eric Church. There's all these little things that you do. And what I guess I learned over doing this so much is that I don't have to emulate the voice. I just have to emulate the technique.
Hmm.
And so I
Yeah,
guess
that's a great point.
separating that might be hard for some folks, but that I guess is where I come in and say that's probably my difference is that I figured out how to emulate the technique.
Yeah, that's interesting. I never really thought about it that way, but I mean, it's accurate. Um, and it's hard for us to like, we have to remind ourselves that 99% of these venues and 99% of the people that are coming to watch us don't they don't know. They're not gonna recognize if you're a little sharp. They're not gonna recognize if you put a little more inflection on a certain syllable to sound more like this person. Um, Not only because maybe they're not, and every once in a while I'll have somebody in the crowd that's like, "Yeah, man, I was in a band for 30 years. You sound great." And I'm like, "Man, I wish I would have like I wish I would have known you were here. I would have been a little, try to clean things up a little bit." Um, but just the layman's person, just, and it's the same way for any profession. The same way that if I had a plumber come replace my toilet, I wouldn't know if he did it right or not until I flushed it. You know what I mean? Like, most of these people
Sure.
they don't know, they don't care. They're just there to have fun, and whatever music's playing is good with them. So I think we beat ourselves up a lot more than we should over things like that, and it's just how we're wired as entertainers. Um,
You
but most
know,
of the time, people
I,
don't care.
I agree. I agree with that to some extent in a handful of places that I've played. However, I will say that as this has went on, and as I have right, I go there each night with a purpose, and my purpose at its core is I'm making a living. How do I do that, right? How do I keep the people there buying drinks instead of food so the kitchen can close early and send two helpers home, and so the bar can make 45 or 50, 60, 70% margins instead of 30% margins on their food? How do I keep people there? And the secret to that is, in my opinion, and everybody can take this nugget for what it's worth, is it's whether they're there for you or not when you get there, And maybe it's just my personality and being cocky or whatever you want to call it, but you make sure they know they're there for you before you're done with your first couple songs. And how do you do that? Well, look, my PA doesn't go down past a certain level, and I'm not going to blow your eardrums out, but you're going to know I'm playing, and you're going to know when I'm done with the song, and so on and so forth. And there's a reason for that, because if I can get you over yourself for the after 2 or 3 songs, if I can get you over the I'm too cool to tap along or sing along because my buddy's at the table, if I can get you over that in 2 or 3 songs, dude, you're going to have a great night, and you're going to be there until I'm finished. And the bar's going to be happy, and I'm going to be happy, and more importantly, all those people out there is going to be happy. I don't care if I play a song the right way. People are like, oh, you're a great guitar player. Why'd you play this way? The proper way is to play it this way. Well, it looked pretty proper when everybody was up dancing and clapping and having a good time, so it doesn't matter. I'm, I'm, I don't care about any of that. I don't care how good the car works. If I need to get somewhere, if the car's taking me there, I'm cool with it, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just there to cover ground. As many songs, I'm not. I might cut out a verse. I might cut out the bridge. I bet half of my songs don't last 2 minutes, but that's on purpose. I'm just there to cover
Hmm.
ground because all these people have stuff they want to hear, and if you can do it with your own little inflection, the point I guess I'm bringing all that back to is talking about how for the most part people are just cool with it, how whatever it's going to sound like, and they don't notice those inflections and things like that. But it all goes back to this. My father was a trim carpenter, right, for 25 years, and he was well known around here for it, and he was the best. And what makes you the best at something like that? Well, it's I measured a board and it was a millimeter off. And when I nail these two boards together in the corner, it's going to be close enough, but I could tell a difference. Well, the homeowner ain't calling back to
Hmm.
complain and get you to redo it, right? But he's
Hmm.
always going to notice that there's a little gap there. But you go in there and you do
Hmm.
something perfect every single time or the best you can every single time or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, those people, they tip you based on talent, not just because you were able to do it. And that is what I wanted to do differently than Ernie Biggs. At Ernie Biggs, I played music with a lot of talented people, but I also played music with a
Hmm.
lot of people that barely figured out how to get around a keyboard. They barely
Hmm.
figured out how to use their voice more than an octave at best. And they go out there and they just say, well, I covered it, but it was so silly or so butchered or whatever. And that's what I wanted to be different. Ernie Biggs is all about the fun and not about the music at all. Well, I figured if I could figure out a way to be about the fun and be good at the music part of it, then maybe I can hit both crowds, the people that are music connoisseurs that go out for the talent and the people that are dancing and fun connoisseurs that go out because it's Friday night and they worked all week, right? And so that's
Right.
that's my ultimate goal, and that's probably what I would say I'm trying to achieve more than anything is
Hmm.
continuing to meld those two things together. And the more I've done that, the more my following's grown, the better I've done for myself, the more venues have called me to, hey, when can we get you in and things like that. And again, the more I get to stay close to home, the better.
Yeah. What venue around here do you feel like is has like the most intentional crowd? Like, do you feel like there's one or two spots that you go and you know that people are coming with the intent to listen to music and that you're not just background noise?
um, yeah, I mean, more than any of them is Buzzard Bar at Big Cedar. I played about, I guess it was 26 or something days down there last year, uh, basically for whatever Clay was out doing. Oh, got
Hmm.
a little wild there. Anyway, but anyway, for whenever Clay's gone, they call me in and I go play down at Buzzard Bar. And if you've ever been down there, you know that it's always packed. 100% of the time,
Right.
Buzzard Bar at Big Cedar is packed. The servers, that's what makes the difference, in my opinion. And if venues would do this, it would change the entire vibe. People would stay longer and so on. But the hour before, the tables that are still might be there overlapping when I start playing at 8:30, they're like, are you guys going to stay for the music? Surely he's really good. You definitely want to stay for the music because this, and that. Well, why are the servers doing that? What do they get out of that? Well, they're done serving food and now they get to serve drinks for the next 4 hours, and everybody gets to go home at 1 a.m. instead of 2:30 because they had to clean up still. What does
Right.
the bar get out of that? Well, they're making a lot more money and these people are staying. But the point is so they do that, And then the second I get up there and I say, "How's everybody doing this evening?" or whatever it might be, that particular show, they bring down the lights just enough to make it obvious that what time it is.
Mm-hmm.
And when they do that, it totally changes the vibe. It totally gets people involved instantaneously. It gets people involved because they're like, "Oh, this is what we're here for." And
Mm-hmm.
so I gotta say that one of my favorite crowds to play for, and my favorite staff as far as how they set it up and all that, and the vibe, is Buzzard Bar. The problem with that is it's
Mm-hmm.
very hard to emulate unless you too can offer most of your patrons a ride back to their room.
Yeah.
That's the difference maker.
Yeah, man. If there is, I've told you this many times, but like, if that is like, that's my like bucket list place to play around here. Like, it's the one place that like, I mean, Clay Self has been there for eternity. Like, he's got the best gig.
30 something
he's
years.
got
30 something
he's
years.
got the best gig in town, man. He's got it. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, it's super awesome that you get to do that and to get in there, because I've heard, and most of the stuff I've heard has been from you, but I've heard nothing but good things about it. But Casey and I talked a little bit too about just how the difference it makes, that that we're getting paid to do a job and to perform a service, but the difference it makes when you have a crowd that's intentional and it wants to be there to listen to you versus a crowd that's wanting to watch March Madness and there just so happens to be a guy with a guitar sitting next to him.
Right.
It just it makes it not just the vibe, but the way I feel when I walk through the door and I see that. I mean, you can choose your path, right? You've got two options. You can either sulk and have a crappy show, or you can say I'm going to try to overcome it. And usually you'll take that path. But I mean, when you walk into a room and it's just a bunch of people like, oh, he's here. He's like, it's time. It's time for the
Right.
music. Can't wait. Like, this is what we've been
Yeah.
here for.
It's the difference between
You
filling
can
your
just
cup and somebody taking something out of it. That's the difference.
exactly,
You know, and
exactly.
and it all comes back down to your following, I guess, and things like that. Sometimes it just takes the one
Right.
table once in
Yeah.
a while being just involved enough for everybody to go, "Oh, the water is warm around here. This ain't too bad."
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
just makes such a huge difference. And again, I can't say it enough times how blessed I am around this area, right, in this small town, and not too far outside of it, to have all these folks. I'm telling you, look, every single time I go somewhere, I bet there's 10, 15, 20 people that are at least at every other show. And those people get the
Mhm.
deal going for everybody else that hasn't been there before. And if I didn't have that, I'd just be another musician. And people wouldn't care
Mhm.
about coming back. But that it just makes the difference when everybody's into it and everybody's about it. Because what else are we going to do? We aren't going bowling. They just tore that down, right? We're not going to ride go karts because none of us are going to fight traffic starting next month, right? What are we going to
Yeah.
do? We're going to
Yeah.
go play on the lake and we're going to go out at night and enjoy live music and support it, or it's not going to be here. And this town is Kimberling City and Branson West and Branson as a whole has supported live music on our level exponentially more than ever before in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, I would 100% agree. And I think that there's a growing population, particularly in Branson, and I might get some heat for saying this, but we've known for years that Branson is evolving, and the tour buses and that demographic that has come here for the Presleys and these people over the years is literally dying. And so that's why we're seeing places like Big Cedar excel and turning Branson into more of a golf destination, the theme parks, this and that. But I think people over time have found their spots that they like to go hang out, whether it be a restaurant or a place like Limweddle. Um, they find these places that they like to go hang out. They find a musician that just so happens to be there the first time, and they start following them. And I think that they've slowly realized that, hey, I can go sit out back at Limweddle. I can have a beautiful view. I can have friendly staff. I can have great wine, and I can have Tyler Garoutte sing and play to me when he's more talented than a lot of people I would have to pay $75 to go see a ticket for in Branson. I think that's the shift that you're seeing. And I'm not taking anything away. There's a lot of talented people that have theaters in Branson and play in those shows. I'm not taking anything away
Sure.
from them. But the way ticket prices have increased, people aren't as willing to pay $60 to go sit at the Ball Knobbers when they could spend $60 on their favorite wine and some good food and listen to somebody that's equally as talented as they're going to see elsewhere. Um, just my
Well,
opinion,
what I
you
see
know.
happening what I see happening in the Branson world as far as shows and things, shows aren't disappearing. What will happen is that they will evolve more into what you see in Gatlinburg, where it's a dinner show and it's action, whether it's pirate action or cowboy action or hillbilly action. It's something that the whole family can be involved in. Well, I mean, hey, that's the truth, though, right? It's something that the whole family can be involved in. And you got the dinner and the show deal, and you can have a cocktail with your show. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter what church door you beat down. 9 out of 10 of those people are having a glass of wine at night. There's nothing wrong with sitting there having a glass of wine at your show or having a beer at your show or whatever the deal is. And, Branson
Mm-hmm.
is certainly coming around to that. There's no doubt, but
Yeah.
it's a slow chug. And so in the meantime, you do have some places that are catching on to that, which, Larry and Leanne Milton with the paddle wheel down there, they're bringing in awesome acts on a regular basis, have an incredible environment. It's stuff for people my age, my parents' age, anything in between. You can have any kind of vibe there you want. You just pick the night of the week you want to go. And you're right, more
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that is going to pop up. The winery deal, people are sick of being in a busy place where you can't hear because it's so crazy loud, and you got to wait 30 minutes to stand at the bar and get your drink. People are done with that. People come here to wind down, and
Yep.
especially on a vacation. And so, yeah, sitting on the deck at Linwood, that's the spot right there. Old 76
Yeah.
Smokehouse, they built this incredible patio. I can't wait to get out there, dude. It's tucked back in the woods. It's like its own little spot. There's just so many deals. Sean's little spot there in the middle of the deal, but Bamboozled's a cool little spot in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? But it's awesome. And so,
Yeah.
there's going to be more and more of these things coming, and there's going to be more and more opportunities to hear live music, and the cream's going to continue to rise to the top as it has in the last few years. And it's going to be a great time to be around here listening to music and enjoying yourself, especially on this lake.
Yeah, and a lot of people, a lot of these businesses like Sean, like Old 76, I mean, they're investing. They're investing in making their place a desirable venue for music. Um and then they're still going to have to pay for the music on the back end. But they're putting the
Sure.
money in like Sean. Look at what Sean did at his out back at Bamboozled. I mean, he's built this awesome
Right.
stage. It's got cornhole. It's got this whole like beachy vibe, which is the whole vibe of what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see, and I think what your point is that you're starting to see more places that aren't just like, hey, go sit in this corner and play music. It's like, no, the music is a spectacle. Like this is a thing that's happening here, and you want to come here for this reason, not because our like,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
we
just
want you to
happen to
come
have
eat.
food.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's just,
Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is a
look at
venue. We just got
Limweddle's
some
another
stuff to
good
eat and drink
example. Yeah, Limweddle's
here.
another good
Yeah.
example. They put those garage door windows up so they can open their inside up to the outside, and it's just, I mean, yeah, it's just it's really cool, and I keep telling people that the live music scene, even Springfield, Branson area, like it is. We are fortunate for the size of town that we are. Obviously, Branson has been the live music capital of the world for a long time, but it's a different, like you said, it's a different live music, and it's growing rapidly in the amount of musicians. Um, my lead guitar player on my band was a studio musician in Nashville for the last 10 years and had a kind of a string of bad luck. Ended up moving here because he was like, I've heard of Branson and I've heard that there's a lot of opportunity for music there. And he's an excellent guitar player. But like you said, the cream's going to continue to rise and things are going to get better, and it makes all of us better. Iron sharpens iron, right?
Oh,
I go listen to
absolutely.
your show and I hear you play a song and I'm like, damn, that was awesome. I'd love to do something like that. I gotta try to do it just like Tyler did it. Like that was cool. Um, and it's there is some ego, but for the most part, most of us all know each other and respect each other, and you know, we don't get to support each other and going out to see each other very often because most of the time we're all booked on the same nights. But you know, anytime I can share your stuff on Facebook or make a post that says, "Hey, your Reed Spring boys are out tonight. Get out and support." You know, just things like that. I mean, we're all trying to make each other better. I think we're all proud of each
Sure.
other, and especially, you know, I've got a soft spot in my heart, obviously, for you and for Casey and for Jake and people like that that I've known for a long time. You know, it's just I think it's really special, really cool that we all kind of grew up together and out here doing our thing.
Yeah. And none of us are chumps. We're all pretty good at it.
Not bad, not bad. Man, I got to tell you uh, the song that I always ask you to play is that Hurricane song by the Band of Heathens. Is that right?
Yeah.
I love the way you do that song, man. There's a lot of soul in that song. There's a lot of little umph behind it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this ain't New Orleans, but it's kind of sad when the lake floods every spring and I got a canoe to my dock. So it hits home.
First world problems, man. The lake's too high. I can't get to my boat.
Yeah. I don't like taking the car to work. If I could take the boat
Yeah,
to the show, that's way better. Yeah.
yeah. No,
I don't like
I
putting my
love that
guitar
song.
in that canoe.
Yeah. I do want to go back to Chris. I want to go back to Chris Stapleton. I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a vocalist in any genre that can do the things that he can do. Every time I hear him open his mouth, I'm just bewildered. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
And
maybe
you could literally take every song away from a solo career and just listen to the stuff he did with the Steel Drivers and feel exactly the same way.
yes,
Painted into a
yes,
genre corner of bluegrass, painted deep into that genre corner of bluegrass, and was still able to do anything he wanted to and did do any. You'll listen to some Steel Driver songs and you're like, oh, this must be the new singer. And then he gets into it in the chorus and you're like, no, that's that dude right there, you know?
nope,
That's the difference maker with him. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of incredible
yeah,
singers, right? Michael Bublé is one of the few people in the world that have perfect pitch and he's a great singer, right? But let's be real,
yeah,
what edge does his voice have? He
yeah,
sings the notes
right,
and he can sing them good and he can sing them fast, but there's virtually no feeling
smooth,
behind it, you know?
right,
And then you got, in my opinion, another incredible vocalist in Cody Johnson. And in my opinion, Cody
hmm,
Johnson is the Michael Bublé of country. However, Cody
yeah,
Johnson figured out how to put the emotion into it when he needs to and the different things. But I'm telling you, there ain't nobody that sings on pitch as Cody. I mean, the dude just knows what he's doing. And there's just a
yeah,
few people out there like that it's no denying they're the best. There's,
yeah.
but is
I
when it comes to Chris
um
Stapleton, he can walk circles around every last one of them.
yeah, I definitely don't think anybody country wise. The only person that I can even remotely think of that I would put just pure vocally into a similar category as a male uh would probably be Freddie Mercury. And their voices are so different, it's hard to even compare them. But the things that Freddie was able to do that I've never heard anybody else be able to quite do them the same way. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean Chris Stapleton, like you said, he's churning out hits with the Steel Drivers. Meanwhile, he's also writing number one songs for the bro country people for years
right.
and just
Everything.
churning them out. And the Steel Drivers are great, and they're I love the Steel Drivers, and they're they were winning Grammys, and they were doing this, and they were doing that. And Chris Stapleton on the bus is writing hits for Luke Bryan and all these tight pants country artists. And then all of a sudden, really his breakthrough moment was that CMA Awards with Justin Timberlake, and they
Yeah,
sing
well, no one
"Drink
had
You
heard of
Away."
him at all, and they're like, "Well, how'd this dude get 10 awards or whatever it was? Like something crazy.
Right.
They ain't heard of him yet. He's got all these awards. Like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
How does that work?
I
Let me sign up.
remember sitting I remember sitting in my room, and I don't like to be like the gatekeeper or the, I listened to him when it wasn't cool. I feel that way about Chris Stapleton. Um, I remember I don't know if I tweeted it or if I put it on Facebook, but I was he was about to perform with Justin Timberlake, and I tweeted, I was like, if you don't know who Chris Stapleton is, you're about to find out. And dude, ever since
We
then, the
found
man
out.
has not missed. I've seen him 3 times live. He doesn't flinch. I mean, Sometimes I Cry. Have you ever listened to like the studio sessions of Sometimes I Cry? Like it literally makes me
Yeah.
want to weep. I mean, like you
I
said,
I look
he's
up
like a guitar pedal. That's a perfect way to put it.
well, so and just to touch on that, and then I'll get back to what I was saying. But you can truly judge a musician's talent level, or a singer's or vocalist, whatever's talent level, if they can do all the things that they can do at any level, right? They can do it quiet. They can do it medium. They can do it like it's sometimes there's a lot of people out there, and I'm guilty of it. And every day it gets better and better because it's a muscle, right? But sometimes it's hard when you're singing really high if you're about to do a run to not put a ton of air behind it just to keep control of your vocal cords. And so
Right.
that's the whole deal with that guy is that yeah, he can sing and do anything, but he can also do it on the most quietest, with a ukulele in his hand if he wanted to. It doesn't even matter, and it's absolutely just flawless every time. There's nothing like it. Nothing like it with that dude.
Dude, I kept
And
at the Super Bowl, I kept waiting for him to really let it go, and he didn't. He didn't.
no,
He kept it. He kept it intimate, and it was still the most perfect national anthem I've ever heard. But I kept
oh,
waiting.
dude,
Okay,
there's
here he's yeah.
there's all kind of interviews about Pink saying she wanted to slap in the face because now none of them can ever sing again. Like it's stuff like that. Well, yeah, she's right. But
Yeah.
no,
Yeah, he
me and uh, me and another local musician, dueling piano guy named Jason Warlow, we I can't remember if we were playing up at I think it was Thursday Night Live in the square up there in Jefferson City, and a huge to do. I'm talking about the streets had thousands of people in them. There's nothing like it. And we were playing at this winery up there once a month, a dueling piano show, and we were basically playing there to promote that. And somebody was telling us, I think it was the guy that was running the sound company and the stage, and all that. But Chris Stapleton and the Steel Drivers had played at the penitentiary up there at the prison, and he started the night with a bottle of Jack Daniels, and by the end of the show the entire bottle was gone, and he's still just doing his deal like he didn't just drink a whole fifth of whiskey on stage in 2 hours. Like, how do you do
wow,
that? That's wild, dude. Old boy can party.
dude. he, he can, and I mean his wife Morgan just, they I mean, well, we saw him at Arrowhead this past summer. He was opening for George Strait, and it was literally him, his wife, and a drummer. And his drummer was playing like a 3-piece kit. Like super toned down, and he's playing for 75,000 people in Arrowhead Stadium with a 3-piece band. And I mean, it was just it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. I can't. I wanted to go back and talk about him because he's far and away my
Yeah,
favorite
it's the
artist,
real
and I
deal.
just
I don't know
can't.
if there'll be another one in our time like him.
I don't think so. And I mean, no disrespect to anybody who's ever, the country music greats, but there's never been another male that can even come close, especially in country music, vocally to what he can do. You
Yeah,
saying he was like
not
a guitar pedal is spot on, because I mean, it's like you can press a button and a different effect comes out of Chris Stapleton.
yeah. And if you want to hear some real wild effects, go listen to the Steel Drivers.
Oh yeah, golly, that's great. Um, So I want to just kind of wrap up here. I kind of want you to tell fans or people, fans, soon to be fans after they listen to this of yours, uh, what
I hope
what can
so.
people expect from a yeah? What can people expect from a Tyler Garoutte show if they come out and watch you play?
Hey, it's pretty simple. It all goes back to the same thing, right? I'm there to make sure you guys have a good time, and the easiest way to do that is to play the music you like to hear. The easiest way to find out the music you like to hear is to make some requests. Get up there, be interactive, be fun, joke with me. I promise I can handle it. It'll be okay. The banter is what makes the night. That's the difference in me sitting there in somebody's living room and having fun with all of our buddies and me playing to a group of strangers. So let's just get the stranger deal out of the way and start getting into the music and having some fun. And so that's literally the goal, you know. I'm there to have a good time. If I overhear a conversation and it's something funny, I'm gonna call you out, and it's gonna be funny, and we're gonna have fun. And this is, you never know. Freebird's coming. I got all the Freebirds for you right here. Just let me know when. You know, I'm just kidding. But the truth is that again, I'm there to make sure everybody's having a good time, and if we can all do that, the night goes better for everybody. So that's what you can expect. This year is the year of self marketing. I'm gonna try, you know, more and more to put the effort in somewhere besides the stage a little bit and get my stuff out there a little bit more from a names perspective. At the end of the day, I'm a cover artist, right? I'm gonna write my own stuff and all that. I don't have an agenda out there other than I want to continue to play music instead of, you know, talking to the man every day. So as long as
Yeah.
I can do that, the better.
Yeah. No, that's cool, man. And as somebody who has seen plenty of Tyler Garoutte, I can attest to all of that. Tyler is the man with the fun plan, and you will not uh, search for the fun very long. I mean, he is the fun. It's there, and wherever you go, see him. You'll have a good time, and a super personable guy. You know, be sure to go up and talk to him afterwards. Like he said, go request a song. Um, you're a fun
I like
dude.
it way
So
better when you got beer on your breath and you get real close to the microphone and spit on me when you say hi, though. If you could do that, that'd be. I just prefer that. It just makes me feel at home.
yeah. All right, man. So my last question. This is my my go-to. This is the 417 Sound branded question that I end every episode with. You get a dream concert. You can build a dream concert. You get an opener, a co-headliner, and a headliner. Can be from any era, any genre. You can mix and match. This is your dream concert. Go. No pressure.
Opener would probably be. Dang, that's a tough one. The opener's a tough one. Honky Tonk Dream, just because they're my boys and they deserve to be up there.
Hey, there you go.
Hey. No, you know what though?
Self
As weird as this
promotion.
sounds, yeah. No, hey, the as weird as this sounds, because I don't hardly play any of his music anymore, but one of the probably the single biggest influence on me as a guitar player and the most influential time of me playing guitar, meaning from a growth perspective, if I could play with anybody and it'd be John Mayer. You know, the dude is the best guitar player of our time. It is what it is. In my opinion, there's nobody that plays like John Mayer. There's nobody that has the musical knowledge of that fretboard like John Mayer. And when it comes to singing and songwriting and putting words together, the dude is such an intellectual that another one that there won't be anybody in our time like him. And he proves it every time he puts out another album that's a different genre. He proves it every time he
Yeah.
collaborates with somebody, and he proves it every time he picks up a guitar, you know, and that would be an absolute honor to play with him, you know, as weird as that sounds, because I play so much country, but that would probably be the co-headliner.
Okay. So who's the headliner?
Oh, me.
Or is he the headliner? Is he the main event?
Oh, I thought you said I was supposed to play with somebody. Who's the other headliner? I can come up with another headliner, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The other
Yeah.
headliner would the other headliner would probably be Eric Church.
Very interesting. I love
It'd
I
be
love some
hey,
Eric
look, it'd
Church.
be a weird concert.
Hey, that's what it's all about, man. You got Honky
That's all
Tonk
right.
Dream, and then going right into Eric Church, and then going right into John Mayer. I'd buy a ticket. I'd buy all the tickets.
Hey, I promise
Hey,
you wouldn't go to another concert with all three of them
I
there. There's
I,
no way
I
they're
will
bringing
not.
Honky Tonk Dream back after we drink all that Bush Light.
you will not find any John Mayer hate from me. I am we actually just watched the Impractical Jokers episode today with him on it, and he's just I just like everything he does. I mean, he's a pro. He's just really good.
Yeah.
Um all right, man. So we are we're pretending that today is April 10th. That's round about when this is gonna
Okay.
be posted. So tell me
All
what
right.
shows you got if you've got your calendar there. Um, tell me what shows you got coming up in latter April.
All right. Well, every Wednesday I'm at Castaways. Um, and then I'm at Bamboozled on the 21st. I'm going to be
Yeah, you are.
at Chris Begley's Funny. Yeah. I'm gonna be at sorry, that's on the 28th actually. I gotta change that. I'm at Bamboozled the 28th because
Yeah,
we
that's right.
swapped that.
We swapped.
And, and I am playing another little plug for some local folks around here. Chris Begley owns Old Wilderness Canyon over in Reed Spring.
Okay.
And every year he does this deal called the Fungi Fest, and he has the public come out. And for like 15 or $20, you buy a special bag from Morel Mushrooms, and he lets you come pick his property for mushrooms. And on top of all that, he has cool stuff going all day for the family and the kids. He's got music going all night. It will go all night. It's a little music festival on Into the Deal in the canyon. Last year I went. It was a blast. I mean, there's no way around it. It's fun going through the woods all day and hanging out. A lot of familiar faces down there that we all know and love. And so I'm going to be there on April 23rd, I believe that is. It's a Sunday. But anyway, so Fungi Fest in Reed Spring. And
Very
then
cool. That
other than that,
that sounds like a one of a kind.
I'm going to be on vacation. Be on vacation for a few days there. So I'm having a little bit of a light month.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. We're gearing up for the long dog days of
I
summer.
know it.
They are
My
coming.
May's already going to hit me right in the face, so I'll be all right.
Well, Tyler, brother, it was great to talk to you as always. I appreciate you coming on. I will drop all of your social medias and whatnot in the next slide. But really, just proud to call you my friend, and glad we can do this thing together and both do all right at it. So, I appreciate your time.
Likewise, Josh. Thank you so much.